Now for business updates across the globe, Rotu Suduri joins us. Good morning, Rotu.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all of us. And well done on another award for us as far as educating the public. Yes. Great stuff. Great stuff.
You are turning it upside down.
Oh, sorry. Okay, here you go. There you go. And congratulations and happy birthday to our chair, Prince Unduka Bagana. Now, global news. So a whole lot going on. Asian markets looking at their best performance since November of last year. The cooling of inflation in the United States and the possible outlook on less rate hikes is pumping up markets. So they've been doing pretty well. Lots to get to. We're going to Singapore. Singapore avoiding a technical recession in the second quarter of this year. Singapore depends heavily on trade flows as a city-state economy. I think it grew by 0.7% in the second quarter of this year. Okay, sorry, before I even get to Singapore, what to watch today? Macron and Narendra Modi will be meeting at about 4 p.m. They're going to be announcing some deals, I think, on the naval side. Yeah, and then we've got U.S. bank earnings, JP Morgan, Citibank, Citigroup, Wells Fargo later on in the day. Look, costs, regulatory issues, interest rate rises, how those will be affecting the banks, capital adequacy ratios, regulation, all the likes are going to be talked about. So yeah, sorry. So now to Singapore. Second quarter growth, 0.7%. They contracted in the last quarter one, so they have avoided a technical recession. The manufacturing sector is like 1/5 of their economy. It contracted mostly because most of their exports go to China, and as we've been talking about for a lot, China's recovery has been pretty weak, and so that's affecting its trade partners. So Singapore depends heavily as far as they're concerned. They also export, semiconductors and chips and all that stuff. That's been slowing down. Their services sector grew 3%. It was 1.8% in the first quarter. So they're just getting along, but they just narrowly avoided a recession there. To Australia, and the Reserve Bank of Australia has appointed their first female governor, Michelle Bullock. To all the young girls out there, she started as an intern at the Reserve Bank of Australia back in 1985 and has now risen all the way to be the next governor. It's interesting, Doctor was talking about communication earlier and how well the Tinubu administration is doing. Philip Lowe, her predecessor, was criticized for badly communicating to the public. He famously said that Australia would go through a low-rate environment, and then, lo and behold, and that's his name, Philip Lowe, they've now gone through one of the most hawkish interest rate cycles in the nation's history. So she's coming in at an interesting period. She was appointed as a deputy governor in 2022. I think she takes over in September. So that's what's going on over in Singapore. I think we go to the UK now. And Rishi Sunak yesterday making his quote-unquote final offer to public workers across the world. We've been talking about how salary negotiations have to happen in this present world. So for teachers, they're offering 6.5 to 7.1%. Doctors, dentists, 6% increase. Police, judiciary, armed forces, senior civil servants, prison officers, you can see it's all single-digit increases. I think he said that most of the unions, I think the Revenue Board has approved this. Look, elections are coming up, and although he said it pretty defiant though, when in his speech yesterday, he said, look, this is, let's end this. We don't want to keep arguing about salaries anymore. This is my offer. Here you go. So we'll see whether that's taken up. What else is going on? Over in the US, this is part of why markets are climbing. Producer inflation slowing down. June, this is month on month, 0.1%. The forecast was for 0.2%, contraction in May. This again is a key indicator for the Fed. Same thing with the year on year, and also crucially core inflation, which again strips out more volatile items there. So producer inflation slowing in the US, consumer price index that's on slowing as well. Markets like it, maybe less rate. There will probably be one more rate hike in July before the Fed calls it quits, at least for this year. But some Federal Reserve governors are saying we might see one or two more. So once again, the key thing takeaway here is that we could see less hikes, and inflation is actually slowing, at least on the other side of the coin, on where the West is. Twitter has announced, they said, look at this, surprise! Today we launched our Creator Ads Revenue Sharing Program. And look, some people are making money. There's people on Twitter started posting the money they're making. So basically they're sharing ads. They said they would do this a while back. But I think maybe with the emergence of Threads, they accelerated it, because they already started it, but now it's like it's a wide expansion. If we look at the qualifications, you have to be subscribed to Twitter Blue, of course. You have to have at least 5 million impressions over the last each of the last 3 months. That is each month within the last 3 months, and then you have to have a Stripe account. That's where the revenue goes into. So people were sharing. Look at this person. Is it Cassiring, or what's the name of this individual? This person got 20. I think it was 20. I don't know if we have the tweets. We should, but anyway, they got. I think 24,000. Some people got there were different people sharing tweets. Even somebody from Nigeria, I think, as you know, between $7,000 here, $25,000 there, and so on and so forth. So there's been a real acceleration with Twitter trying to make sure it's keeping its creators, because it sounds like they are losing influencers to Threads, and if influencers leave, then you are losing engagements, and so they are really like trying to ramp this up in order to try to get that going. I know, hopefully we'll get the image there, but there is an individual that showed a 24,000 payout, so that's what we're. Oh yeah, and then you guys already Africa. I don't get to do Africa anymore. You've already touched on it. The President Tinubu's food inflation, what is it now? Palliatives, 8,000 naira per family. The one thing I liked from the announcements in Nigeria was that the transfers, the cash transfers will be done digitally, and they will be made directly into a mobile wallet. So I think for better tracking. But just final points here, and this is a debate that started in the newsroom between myself, Mr. Ifeni, and our Director of News, Mr. Yemi. We have to address the demand side for food. Our population it's rising, right? When I was showing my age here, growing up in the 80s, funny enough, under the Babangida regime, there were lots of family planning ads. You would see them. President Jonathan tried to introduce this 1 or 2 child policy, but it was rejected. As much as you try to increase the supply of food you're trying to increase the food belt of the country, you must do something about the demand, because you will forever be behind in terms of how many mouths you can feed. That's our update.
How many mouths are China feeding? Let's not give it.
China had a 1-child policy now. Have you forgotten that?
But what was the population in the end?
What do you mean, what was the population in the end?
What was the population in the end?
It's over 1 billion now.
It's over 1 billion. So with that didn't they feed that population?
No, but Rufai, China had a 1-child policy. But whether it was for 1 month or 2 days, they did
that population. They had a 1-child policy for so many.
China is a bad example. They are the manufacturing center of the world. China is the biggest exporter.
So that's what we're telling you.
Yeah.
How can we be the food production center of the world? So that should be the challenge.
China. I said China.
That should be the challenge.
Births per capita, right, per woman. Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest number of any region, and we are the poorest. Niger is 6.3 babies per woman. Nigeria is 5.8.
You are talking to somebody that knows the Maltesian theory very well.
So should we have less children?
Hang on a minute. The truth has to be said. Yeah? Your population is not the problem. It is how you use your population for effective production. But that is the problem. Let's stop arguing like that.
We are poor
because we've not used our population. Simple. It's as simple as that.
How many children do you want to have? 5 or 6?
Me?
Yeah, you. How many are you going to have?
I mean, if God gives me the chance, I'll have 3, 4.
Okay.
If God gives me the chance.
Make progress?
Moving on. I want to talk about the foreign sin, Dr. Bati, real quickly. The foreign sin, real quickly. When you look at what America has been able to do to be able to fight inflation, it's quite commendable. I must say, and I must give kudos to the Fed. Yeah. I hope our central bank here is learning. Because, and also, that's where you see the joy of the independence of the Fed. If this was under Trump will have interfered from today till tomorrow. And you remember the running battles with Trump had with the Fed.
Yeah.
So when you look at what they've done to stem the tide of inflation and the methodical way at which they do it, I think it's worthy of commendation. I yield the floor.
All right, for the UK, elections are 18 months away.
Yep.
And so some people have tried to link this announcement by Rishi Sunak with the elections, even though they still feel that they're out, that the Tories are out. But in terms of the acceptance is what the focus is now. Would the unions accept this new deal, which Sunak has said is final? The education union has said, okay, they would halt on their strikes and they would look forward to taking this on. The government is saying they are spending the most that they've ever done in decades in terms of remuneration and looking for more budget allocation to paying salaries. But the doctors are saying that they are not willing, at least yet, to accept because it's not reflective of inflation. Inflation hit its highest at 11% in the UK. Currently, it's at average of 8%. And if you are saying 6% increase whilst that sounds fantastic, it's still not in terms of the reality. And I think it just reflects on what we have here in Nigeria, where the unions are asking for a 300% increase in wage, in consonance with what is happening in the economy.
Well, a number of issues, Rotus. Number one, Bullock, Michelle Bullock, been taken as the next
Governor of the Reserve Bank of
the
Australia.
Central Bank of Australia, called the RMB. She will assume office on September 17. Clearly, it looks like continuity appointment. A continuity appointment. Not much is likely to change. If anything is going to change, it's going to be very slight. You may say Philip Lowe was low. But in any case, you are likely to see continuity with inflation in that country well above
targets.
That's one. In the U.S., all the indexes are looking up. Inflation by June is down. Production index, consumer price index, all rose by 0.1%. Is that a vindication of orthodoxy in terms of monetary policy? But the contrast is that the same orthodoxy is not working in Europe, where the UK is having rising inflation, as is the case with other countries. Third point, I don't know which one you want to respond to. We are beginning to see the impact of the politics in First Bank holdings. The share price of First Bank holdings has gone down by about 20% this week alone. But we're told that other banks, GT, Access Bank, also Stanbic, also have similar issues. So is it about the all shares index? Or there's something about the crisis at the First Bank that we need to worry about?
The First Bank is up. First Bank is up by double digits. The market did dip yesterday, but the banking index has been the best performing index in Nigeria. So we did see a dip, but overall, whether it's First Bank, GT, Zenith, the banking sector has done pretty well. So I'm not seeing the issues going on there with First Bank impacting the stock. The orthodoxy not working in Europe is because of the energy spike between Russia-Ukraine crisis, Russia cutting off gas, natural gas exports to parts of Europe. You saw that impact Germany and so on. So it's mostly energy price spikes that have been impacting them and driving up inflation.